So I got a really interesting question on Taishokoto strings recently. If I can't buy Taishokoto strings, can I use guitar strings? The answer is yes. If you're more interested, keep listening. So the four main suppliers for strings are going to be Suzuki, Yamaha, Zenon, and Nylon. It can be annoying to try and navigate their sites if you don't know Japanese, and sure enough there are places where they won't deliver, so that's annoying. The other unfortunate thing about Taishokoto strings is there's not really a standard size. For instance, I can go on Google right now, type it in, and the standard size for guitar strings says the most popular string gauge for 6-string is 0.01 to 0.046. Yes, that changes. Yes, you can get different types for different types of music, different materials, different thicknesses, but in general, you can find the size. For Taishokotos, it's interesting. It's more like you're ordering the company strings rather than a type of strings. It's just a common thing that you might say, hey, Nylon strings have a tighter, cleaner sound. This is a weird concept, and I'd kind of like to break away from it. So how do you break away from it? Sure, let's talk about guitar strings. So if you're asking, hey, can I use guitar strings? What kind can I use? What thickness? I'm going to say whatever you want. The rest of this video is me going through a little experiment to try out different string types and thicknesses. I started a little conservative, but as you'll see, I generally made a bunch of different types of strings, and most thicknesses work at the end of the day. You're not going to damage the bridge by putting on a slightly different string, especially not since they normally have the steel wires on them. The important thing is this isn't like using steel strings on a classical guitar. You're not supporting an entire long neck over a really tightly wound string. So what we'll note in this first pack is these start at 0.01. A lot of Soprano Taishokoto strings can go even smaller than this, but it's not too much of a concern. Again, we're not going to damage something, we're just going for that general high sound. Now, rather than grab a bunch of packs of these, I went ahead and just decided to use the first two strings of this pack on the top two Soprano strings and not replace the bottom strings. There is one other thing worth mention. Normally Taishokoto strings have a little loop on the end that you can pull across the bridge. For guitar strings, we don't have that. We have a much smaller little hole loop. As shown in the picture, I went ahead and just pulled the string around the little hook and tension fit it, and it worked just fine. For the next part of this test, you'll notice that I now take a thicker third string and I'm replacing the tenor string. So now I've replaced the top two soprano, then I have an original soprano below that, and then below that I have the replaced tenor, and then below that I have the original bass. I kind of took this approach so that you could try and pick out the different sounds as I pluck one by one and try and see the difference. My point is that it actually sounds pretty good, it all meshes together nicely. I really wouldn't worry about trying to match the strings too closely and, oh, these three have to be the same because these are the top soprano strings, etc., etc. The other reason I'm showing you the back of this, since we're on this third string still of this pack, is that we're not even into the bronze type. And this last test is weird. I put 5 of the strings from this classic nylon pack on the Taishokoto. It sounds weird, but it sounds really cool. Showing this picture here, this was the mess on the end. Again, I just tension fit everything. I didn't use any loops, hooks, ties, whatever. The only difference here was how I had to put the string across the bridge and down to the metal fittings on the side. The strings actually go from a slightly narrower bridge to a slightly wider metal fitting on the side. This makes the strings want to splay apart and fall off the bridge because they don't fit as nicely in the little bridge carvings since it's a thicker string than normal. To circumvent that, instead of using the 5 clips on the side of the Taishokoto, I used the middle 3 and just kind of double strung them. If you enjoyed, then like and subscribe. For support or samples, Patreon site. If you hate my content, I will not lie. To the corner I go, where I will cry.